Hey, how's it going, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new to the channel, my name is Big Wall Vlogs. I do reviews, news, everyday vlogging, and every once in a while I'll do a tutorial. If this video is educational or somewhat entertaining, please consider smashing that like button and maybe subscribe to the channel for new videos when I post them. So, been away from the channel for a couple weeks. Been working and also focusing on FPV. I kind of almost made the full switch from analog FPV to digital, buying the DJI remote, DJI goggles, a bunch of air units. And still playing with the analog systems because I want to know everything about FPV. But today we're not going to be talking about FPV. We're going to be talking about what everybody else is talking about, and that is the new DJI Mini 2. I got to remember that, Mini 2, not Mavic Mini, but Mini 2. And in the past, I kind of just blew this off. I didn't really think it was that interesting to go out and grab it. Seen a lot of great videos that came from one of the Mavic Mini. The Mavic Mini series of drones, 23 Boogs. I would watch his videos on Instagram and be like, man, what video, what's that coming from? And it would be like the Mavic Mini, and I was like, that's an awesome camera on that tiny little drone, but it just didn't interest me. It was, a Wi-Fi drone that had 1080 resolution, and I mean, the only thing that was kind of interesting about it was the fact that it was so small if you were looking for a travel drone, and the fact that it had extremely long flight times. But I've had experience with small drones before, and usually the smaller they are, the harder they are to fly. So to get a Wi-Fi drone with 1080 resolution without any type of obstacle avoidance or crash assistance just wasn't something that I thought I would be interested in. Not just for me, because I've been flying for a while, but for other people, because if you're new to the droning world, is a drone without obstacle avoidance or some kind of crash assistance the drone for you? But for sub $1,000, a lot of people were saying that it was the best bang for your buck. I went with the Mavic Air 2, which I absolutely loved. I thought it was nostalgic of the original DJI Mavic Pro. It brought back those feelings when I opened the box to see an even smaller drone, an even smaller clone of the Mavic Pro that had even better capabilities or features. So the reason I was kind of drawn to this was the fact that DJI seems to have addressed a lot of the issues that I kind of, was turned off about this drone. They have added, newer features like the newly designed Mavic Air 2 controller. I believe this is the only available for the Mavic Air 2, but this control system and this drone are now synced by AccuSync. So not that Wi-Fi connection, which you might get a mile. You can actually take this thing out to, I think it was like 4 or 5 kilometers, which is absolutely unbelievable for something this small. I would probably be scared to take this thing out super far because, again, it's pretty light and it is probably prone to a lot of environmental effects. But DJI kind of, I guess, satisfied the fear of that by making this thing resistant to wind. I think they said up to like 5 miles. All to be tested, definitely all to be tested. But I wanted to get into this. I don't want to make this a long-winded video. I know a lot of guys are doing multiple video after video. Like, this is the video about how to install the screw-on gimbals. This is the video on how to unfold your drone. This is the video on how to charge your batteries. I'm not going to get into that. What I want to do is I want to drop this thing into, I'm thinking it should work in the DJI Assist for Mavic. Update the firmware, take it outside, and see what this thing can actually do. Because another thing that kind of drew me to this drone was there apparently are more features like quickshot modes. And if I'm not mistaken, the original DJI Mavic Mini did not have quickshot modes or follow. I know there were some firmware updates. I didn't follow it, but I want to see what this thing can actually do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop it in. I haven't even unfolded it. I haven't even taken the stickers off yet. I'm going to update the firmware, and then we're going to meet outside and see what this thing can actually do. So give me a minute and I'll get right back to you. All right, so got it out, got it calibrated, got it up in the air, cutting out all the fluff, going through all of the different, unfolding and how you do this. You guys have seen that in plenty of videos before. What I want to get to is the meat and potatoes of what this thing can do. Again, I've never flown the DJI Mavic Mini series drones, but I've seen video from them and it looked absolutely amazing. I'm going to give this, benefit of doubt because this is a new release and there are usually some firmware updates that have to be made to fix little bugs. In fact, the first firmware update fixed a list of things that they said needed to be fixed just right out of the box. Optimization of this, colorful, color of that, some extra settings I guess they threw in there. But like, again, I want to go through what this thing can actually do. So before we actually take it around and get some video out of it, I got about 58% battery. I'm not going to fly it around much. I just want to get into the settings real quick to see what has changed and let you know what this thing can do. So we go to the first setting, which is safety. You've got your normal settings for safety. I'm going to take it up just a little bit so I'm not talking over that motor there. So you got your normal settings for safety. You've got your max altitude, your max distance. You got your return to home altitude. You can update your return to home point in case you have moved. You have a sensors. Oh, went too far there. Don't know what happened. I think I hit the unlock. So you had a sensors section here, which doesn't really have anything, so you don't have any obstacle avoidance, so there's no sensors. I think there are a couple of bottom facing sensors on it, but it doesn't appear that I can get in. I can calibrate the compass. I'm going to go back. I don't want to do that while it's in the air. So you can calibrate the compass, you can calibrate your IMUs. I guess those are the only sensors that you have. You have your unlock your geo zones. You're in a no-fly zone. Remote identification features, which are currently turned off. Find my drone. If you lose it, you should be able to use your GPS positioning to find it if it's lost in the woods somewhere. You got battery info. So if I look at my battery right now, this is a 2-cell drone. I believe this one is using lithium ion. No, this one's using lithium polymer batteries, while the previous version was using lithium ion batteries. I'll go back again. Advanced safety features are going to give you how you can cut this thing off and how it's going to what it's going to do if it loses a signal. So I got this set up for return to home. We're going to go over to controls. So in controls, I have, let me put that into Imperial because I have it in metric. You have the ability, there's a little LED on the front of this thing, so you have the ability to change how that LED functions. Right now it's set to breathing, but you can set it to rainbow or disable it. I'm going to leave it on breathing right now. I'm not even sure what that LED does at the moment, but we're going to leave it there. You have the ability to change the color of the LEDs, so I'm not going to touch that. You have your gimbal settings, which you can put it in follow mode, which is going to give you that smooth, stabilized footage, versus FPV mode, which is going to give you banks whenever you turn. You got a follow-up gimbal rotation, so allow upward gimbal rotation. So I'm going to turn that on because sometimes I do like to point the gimbal up a little bit. As I'm flying low, I like to point the gimbal up into the sky. Advanced gimbal settings, which is probably gonna let you do like how you smooth out the movement of the gimbal. Right now I don't know how fast it moves, but we're gonna leave it alone. You can recenter the gimbal. Remote control settings. You got stick modes. This is mode 2 in the US. Most of the time you're flying with the up and down altitude on the left side, and your front, back, left, right on the right side. Calibration of RC. I'll get into that in a different video if you guys need me to, but it's just to calibrate your controller, stick movements, and then you can do actually flight tutorials on this one. So if I go to camera, we've got video subtitles. If you guys don't know what that, let me scroll all the way up to the top. So first you got your anti-flicker. Always put that to auto if you don't want to deal with it if you're traveling with this drone. You got video subtitles. So video subtitles is a metadata file that they will kind of put into the video. So when you look at it on specific software, it'll show you what your drone was doing. All of the what do they call it? Man, why am I losing this? Telemetry information. It'll tell you all your telemetry information, what your drone was doing at a specific point in time, how far it was away from you. That's on right now, and I never really use it, so I'm going to actually turn that off. Probably helpful if you maybe crashed the drone and you had the video footage. You could probably send that to DJI and say, hey, this is what it was doing, but I'm not going to use it. You got your histogram if you're into, kind of getting the best out of your exposure. Right now, I don't have ND filter, so I'll probably be going in and setting this up in manual mode because I'm in the current condition that I'm in. It's very bright, and when I'm facing the sun, I get this white washed out image. I have grid lines, which I always put like a little bullseye in the center just to make sure I'm flying directly through the thread and the needle, and not underestimating the distance between 2 points. You've got white balance. I always kind of leave that to auto unless I have to change it. You got the storage of your SD card, which it doesn't come with an SD card, and it doesn't have any internal storage. And max video capacity, max cache video capacity. I just usually leave that at the stock settings. Okay, it's so quiet it sounds like it flew away from me. Okay, so you go into your transmission. You've got dual band, or you can switch it between 2.4 and 5.8. Usually people put it in 2.4 when they're out in the open, and 5.8 when they're kind of like in an environment like this where you're in the middle of a lot of Wi-Fi interference, like in the middle of this apartment complex. Leave it to auto most of the time and it'll do its job. And then you got about, which you're going to be able to go through and check all of your firmware, whether or not they're up to date. I haven't checked for updates on actually I just did the firmware update for the aircraft, but I didn't do the fly safe database. And you got your charge time, battery charge time, how many times you've charged the battery, and all of your serial number information. So that is pretty much it for the features. What I want to do is I want to jump quickly into what it can do in the camera features. So what we have, I'm going to take this over just a little bit. I want to take this up so I can get a better shot here. I'm going to point it down. So so I'm not getting all that sky. But I usually like to point it back here so I can kind of see what's going on in this development with a lot of different colors. We'll even pull it back a little bit so I can kind of see the trees below it. So in the camera mode, if we go into photo, we have single shot, we have auto bracketing, we have timed shot. So single shot, hit the shutter button, it's going to take one shot. Auto bracketing is going to take different exposures throughout different exposure ranges to kind of give you the best image quality. And then you've got time shot, which you're going to turn on the timer and says take a picture every 5 seconds or every 10 seconds as it's flying through the sky. And then you could probably take all those images and put them together as some sort of time lapse, because I don't actually see time lapse on here right now. And that is it for photo mode. For video mode, we have the ability to shoot in 24, 25, or 30 frames per second, no 60 frames per second 4K. If I switch to 2K, no 60 frames per second 2K, and in 1080, we can go all the way up to 60 frames per second from 24 frames per second. So I'm going to leave that in 4K right now, because in a minute we're going to do a little bit of a video demonstration. So you got 4K, 2K, 10K, 1080, sorry, not 10K. And then if you go down, you have quick shot mode. So I want to go through quick shot modes because I don't seem to see anything that indicates that this drone, which I had hoped it would do, can do follow me mode. And that was one of the turnoffs about the original one. It couldn't follow you. Everybody wants their drone to follow them and not have to pilot it. Don't see anything that says it can do this right now, but it must be able to lock onto you because it's able to do things like the droney, the rocket, the circle, or the helix, or the boomerang. I'm going to just try one of these real quick just to see how they work. I want to do what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this back to me. And I'm going to bring it over this way so since I don't have obstacle avoid, so I don't fly into a tree or anything. And we're going to try a droney. So I'm going to hit droney. I'm going to do 100-foot droney. And I already kind of got it. Let's get out of this. Okay, so see, this is what confuses me. It has the ability to lock onto you to do the droney, but it doesn't have the ability to follow you. And I'm only assuming that is because it must take a lot of processor power to do follow me mode, and this little thing right here just can't keep up with it. So I'm curious whether or not like a software like Dji, which I flew years ago with one of my first drones that didn't have follow me, which was the Phantom 3 Pro, no, Phantom 3 Standard. I wonder if Dji is out for this one and it gives you the follow feature. If you guys don't know, there are third-party softwares out there that people use to fly their DJI drones, and some of them have more features than what DJI gives you. But for now, we're just going to try this droney. I'm going to highlight myself as a subject. I got it. Let's tap here. I'm going to highlight myself as a subject, and it is able to lock on to me. And then I'm going to hit tap to start.
2, 1.
And I got 30% battery here, so I'm not going to, draw this out. I'm watching the line of sight because it is backing up, and there are some trees a little bit, I would say close to it. But I'm going to miss the tree behind it. And it seems to have completed the droney. Does it come back? It's completing the processing, and it is returning. So let's see how it returns. Looks like it's off a little bit because if I'm not mistaken, I started the droney somewhere over here, and when it came back, it ended up over here, which, I mean, again, GPS positioning, if you're into that type of thing or how accurate it is, that may be an issue, especially if it's returning to you and it doesn't come back on the same line. There may have been a tree in that area. Well, not there. There may have been a tree in this area here that could potentially have hit on its way back to me. So maybe that might be an issue, but we'll save that for other videos. I'm down to 26% battery here. We're going to go back, and then you can do the rocket. Like I said, you can do the circle, you can do the helix. So it is able to do, I guess, orbits around stuff, but just not able to follow. And then finally, what we have is the panel feature. And if we go into the panel feature, you have the ability to shoot a full spherical panel, a 180 panel, or like a really wide angled panorama. So I want to try the spherical real quick and see what that can do. I want to take it and do like the hardest things that I guess this drone is able to do. I'm going to take it up just a little bit, and I'm at 24% battery. We're going to hit spherical, and what we're going to do is we're just going to hit the shutter button and see how fast it processes this video. And it's moving pretty fast. I mean, in the past, if you try to do like a panorama with some of the other drones, it took at least, I don't know, it felt like it took like 3 seconds between each video to get the shot, and then it was moving around and everything kind of looked sketchy when it was done. it's moving fast and it's moving precise. The camera seems to be very tight. It's very solid. So it's moving, it's stopping, it's taking the shot, it's transitioning from light to dark really fast, and it's rocking, man. It's at 72% right now. It's probably only taking about a minute to get to 80%, maybe not even that. All right, 100% and perfect timing because the battery is low and it's about to come back to me. So we're going to bring this down. Okay. So we're going to bring this down. Sorry, I'm in the dog part. I didn't want to interrupt people who actually were using this for dog. And we're going to land it. Very low, very low. So actually this is very short grass and it actually got caught up in the grass. Now, before we go any further, I want to go into my settings here. I want to go into this panel that I just created. I want to see what it did. So I'm going to hit create. No, actually I'm going to hit it. Let's just open it up and see if it stitches it together for us and see how it looks. All right, so I got the panel, but it's not giving me the ability to do stuff like the what was that called? The tiny, not the tiny planet, but what was that feature called where it would like pull out, do a drone and then do the like the comet or something like that. I can't remember what it's called. I keep forgetting these features. So if I click on this, switch the original, yeah, it just does a, you know, like a 360 type of tiny planet. I can't adjust, pinch or anything like that. And there are no other features if I'm not mistaken. So I'm going to go back into the camera, quick shots, panel. Yeah, it can't do that little tiny planet thing where it kind of like pulls away as a drone and then creates a small planet. I can't remember what that's called. Something like comet or asteroid or something like that. But all in all, I mean, decent little drone so far. Decent little drone. I don't want to get into the video right now because I want to see if I can get an ND filter for it. Mavic Air 2 came with a nice little set of ND filters. This one didn't come with any. I'm assuming that I'll have to go out and buy ND filters that would fit the original Mavic Mini and get back to you with the video. I want to give it a, you know, give it a chance to do any firmware updates that it has to do. And I also want to like get out here, you know, on a bright sunny day and see how good this image quality is, because like I said, I've seen video from the original Mavic Mini, which was only 1080, and this one's 4K, so it should give me amazing video quality. So with that said, I'm going to drop out right now, drop this in post, get it uploaded, and then I'll get back to you soon with more videos about the Mavic, I want to say Mini 2. I want to say no. Okay, so it's not the Mavic Mini 2. It is the, I'll get back to you soon with the Mavic. I'll get back to you soon with the DJI. That's it. The DJI Mini 2. Thank you. I'll get back to you soon with the DJI Mini 2. Thanks for watching the channel. Peace.